After 3,300 years, King Tutankhamun's coffin leaves his tomb for the first time ever. The King Tut coffin is in a very bad condition, very deteriorated. We found many cracks, we found many missing parts and missing layers, the Egyptian archaeologist said. The outermost coffin that once held the body of King Tutankhamun, the pharaoh of Egypt, had never left the 3,300-year-old tomb since the time he was first laid there to rest. Even after archaeologist Howard Carter discovered the tomb in 1922, the wooden coffin remained in the Valley of the Kings until now. Earlier this year, the Getty Conservation Institute and the Egyptian Ministry of Antiquities finished their nearly 10-year-old restoration of Tut's tomb, and now, wrote the Los Angeles Times, they'll restore his outer coffin as well, removing it from its resting place and allowing experts to finally get a good look. The intricate project is largely motivated by the impending opening of the Grand Egyptian Museum this year, 2020, which will overlook the pyramids of Giza. The outermost coffin are the largest of the three concentric coffins inside which King Tut's mummy was found, while the inner two coffins have already been on display in the Egyptian Museum in Cairo. The third coffin will finally rejoin them for an exhibit in the new Grand Egyptian Museum when it opens. In addition to the three coffins that house Tut's body, this exhibit will also showcase the numerous relics discovered in his tomb. As we know, the tombs were like a room, like a chamber, and his most valuable possessions were usually put in there in the tomb with him, where his coffin was as well. Now, the innermost coffin is made of solid gold, while the outer two coffins are crafted in wood and covered in gold, along with several semi-precious stones. Carter's original discovery of Tut's resting place in the Valley of the Kings was the first time that a royal tomb from the time of ancient Egypt had been discovered so remarkably intact. It contained a plethora of stunning royal treasures as well, such as a dagger made from a meteorite. Two of the three coffins were later transported to the Egyptian Museum in Cairo, while the outer coffin was left in the king's tomb. Only in July of 97 years later was the casket removed under intense security in order for it to be fumigated for 3 weeks. Now we know there's a lot of germs in it. Now, with careful yet thorough restoration now underway, experts have had the rare opportunity to inspect the outer coffin up close and reveal photos for all to see. And given the damage to the coffin that experts have now seen, it will take about 8 months to restore it. Aiza Dayan, the General Director of First Aid, Conservation and Transportation of Artifacts, said the coffin is about 30% damaged due to the heat and humidity inside the tomb. He said the coffin is in a very bad condition, very deteriorated, said Zaidan. We found many cracks, we found many missing parts and missing layers. Egypt's Antiquities Minister Khaled El Anani confirmed as much when he said the coffin was in a very fragile state, with repair work being top priority. The 7-foot 3-inch long coffin has been safely kept in one of the 17 laboratories within the new museum. Restorers have been working on numerous items found in King Tut's tomb, of which there are more than 5,000 items, all of which will be showcased at the Grand Egyptian Museum. With more than 75,000 square feet of real estate, it'll be the biggest museum on Earth exclusively dedicated to one civilization. Restoration of King Tut's tomb came after years of tourists trudging through the majestic heritage site. Both the Getty Conservation Institute and Egypt's Ministry of Antiquities committed to the extensive revamp nearly a decade ago and finally finished in January. Their efforts include installing an air filtration and ventilation system to regulate the humidity, carbon dioxide, and dust levels inside, lighting, as well as new platforms from which tourists can see the sarcophagus were also added. Now, of greatest concern were the strange brown spots on the tomb's paintings, which suggested microbial growth in the room. These were found to have been mere discolorations due to fungus that had been there since the tomb's discovery. Thankfully, neither fungus nor anything else has taken down Tut's tomb. Now, after a long period of restoration, it will live on for many more visitors to see. And after the most recent restoration of the outermost coffin, visitors will have the most complete picture yet of how the boy king was buried. He died when he was 19 years old. When work on the pharaoh's gilded coffin concludes and the Grand Egyptian Museum officially opens, it will be the first time in history that King Tut's 3 coffins will be on display together. This article, 3,300 Years, King Tut's coffin leaves his tomb for the first time ever, originally created for All That's Interesting, and is published here under Creative Commons on Collective Spark. This is by Steve McCamley. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.